Hi, welcome back to That's Entertainment, the weekly show where we look at all the interesting entertainment news from last week, this week. Well, again, we've got something a little different for our first show this week. I wanted to share with you a succinct presentation that my colleague Nikolai Matthews, who's the CEO of Groovy US or Groovy Media, which he gave last week at the webinar we co-hosted with our friends at Usher U. The theme was use today's tech to reach tomorrow's moviegoers. Nick takes a look at some of the worrying stats about the way that the traditional core cinema-going audience of 14 to 24-year-olds has been declining for years, but also considers some of the ways cinemas could turn that around in the months and years ahead.
Thank you for everyone that's tuning in for this second part of our webinar. Today we've chosen a topic that is not just a pandemic-related challenge, that is a general challenge for the industry that we need to face head on. So I personally have been really looking forward on discussing this more in detail, but it is down to how are we going to use the tech we have today to reach tomorrow's moviegoers. And we're going to start off with some stats that cinema going is in general in decline. If we look at the attendance numbers from 2010 to 2019, then they've been down 7%, and at the same time prices has gone up 16%. And as president of distribution at Paramount, Chris Aronson, are saying that's not the kind of diagram you in general want to see when you are preparing a business for the future. If we look at a historical perspective, then back in 1983, we had 55% of cinema admissions coming from the 13 to 25-year-olds. If we flash forward to 2011, and bear in mind that's the time where social media really had its place in the world, well then those numbers have shrunken down to just being 22% of the 12 to 24-year-olds that are the US cinema goers. And it seems like back then we successfully maintained those audiences because if we look at 2019, then this age group is suddenly 25 to 39-year-old, and they are suddenly making up the majority of the ticket admissions, whereas 12 to 24-year-old with a factor 2 is smaller than this age group. So it just tells that we as an industry now have to capture the next generation of cinema goers, so that the numbers in 2029 will look different as they are today. Deloitte came out with a media trend survey just a week ago that highlights a bit how Generation Z is consuming media. And other than the highlighted stats that 10% of them are watching movies at home, it's important to address the fact that interactive storytelling, video games is taking up 26%, music is taking up 14%. And with this stat, we want to underline one key thing. We as an industry has to neglect the idea of VOD versus cinema and thinking that's where the competition is. The pandemic has showed us that it's not two different audiences. There are great overlap in between those two. No, what we have to understand now is that we are competing against other types of entertainment, and therefore there's also the kind of companies that we need to benchmark ourselves against. If we look at this weekend's box office numbers, then we have the highlight to share around Mortal Kombat, the movie that opened as the number one as of now during the pandemic. And it is the case of adapting a video game from the small screen up to the big screen. It's something that has had mixed success in the past, but it seems that this time around Warner managed to find a marketing mix that worked towards the younger segments. One of the unique things to highlight is this fact that the first 7 minutes was released online, and that it had a simultaneous release on HBO Max. We have the pleasure of having Greg in the panel from Warner, so he can potentially highlight more than I can about what was the actual strategy that was behind releasing the movie. But another sunshine story to highlight is the fact that the manga series Demon Slayer was adapted to a feature anime movie and that was the biggest ever opening of a foreign language title. And as Paul from Comscore is saying, this idea that the 18 to 24-year-old has migrated completely away from the big screen was completely shattered this weekend with the fact that as long as you got the right marketing mix and the right kind of strategy, then you can easily get them back into the cinema. Now, in general, we also need to look at cinema not only in the realm of consuming movies, but also understanding that there is actually a venue here where there's plenty of content to invite audiences in. And yet again, we're going to talk in the gaming realm, this time the sporting element of the gaming industry, where we take a look at the League of Legends mid-season finales and saw there was 360 million people that was watching that. For comparison, 111 million was tuning in for the Super Bowl in 2017. So this is just to say that cinema is a venue where you can invite all types of audiences. And one thing that's important to highlight here is that esport is sold as a viewing party. And that also means that the normal rules of a cinema experience has been shattered. Here it is much more normal to speak and talk to each other while the event is taking place. It is also much more normal to interact through your mobile phones when the event is taking place. If we look at one of the fastest growing sectors of cinema in general, but still a little part of it, that being event cinema, then we also see that the release of the documentary around the pop group BTS sold 2.5 million tickets in 5,000 cinemas. And this is again just to highlight that there's an opportunity here in inviting audiences in for a wide range of different content. This is all a question of giving them a relationship to the venue and not only to the cinema going experience. And it's all about interaction when we talk about the new generation in general. So we do have some experts in that field doing the panel today, Mikkel from Gamifications. But we just wanted to highlight here that there are opportunities for the traditional cinema going experience where we have interaction taking place before and after the movie. There's numerous ways of inviting the audience into a conversation without cannibalizing the good cinema experience, and that's kind of some of the topics that we will touch base upon today.
I hope that you enjoyed that, and if you'd like to watch the panel that followed, you can find the link in the comments below. I'd like to thank Catherine Downs of USU for moderating a panel for us, along with 4 great panelists that helped ensure that part of the event was truly engaging. These are Greg Ballesteros, who is the US Exhibition Marketing Manager for Warner Brothers, Tony Mangles, formerly of Studio Movie Grill and AMC, Mikkel Hagendorn, who is the co-founder of Cinematastic, and Jacob Bjors, co-founder of successful Gen Z marketing agency Trendsetters. That's all for now. Back to you later with more interesting information from the wonderful and wacky world of movie entertainment. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.